Congratulations. The latest military news from Ukraine. Ukrainian armed forces advance near Verbov. Russians abandoned some positions. General Staff. According to the morning report of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Ukrainian soldiers in the Zaporizhzhia sector repelled an attack by Russian occupiers near Robotyno. In addition, our troops advanced in the area of Verbov, forcing the enemy to abandon some positions. After the cold snap, the Russians may launch massive attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, said Natalia Humeniuk. The enemy will want to put pressure on the energy sector, and attacks on energy facilities are not excluded. Putin's United Russia Party has acquired its own private army, the so-called Espagnola, GUR. The Espagnola, PMC recruits so-called football ultras, Russian radicals of all stripes, including sympathizers of Nazi ideology, as well as ordinary civilians from impoverished subjects of the Russian Federation and the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. The latter are used in MEAT assaults to create the status of a combat unit. At recruitment centers for the Espagnola, operating in the occupied Ukrainian territories, volunteers are promised $2,500 per month for direct participation in hostilities against Ukraine. The contract is for at least 6 months. Developments at the front over the past 3 weeks. Analysis from War Mapper. Russia has advanced in some places to the west of Bakhmut. It has seized positions that Ukraine had retaken earlier. The enemy massively shelled Sinkivka. But the Ukrainian armed forces did not allow it to gain a foothold there. Russia seized the rest of Mariinka on the northern bank of the reservoir. Russia controls some positions southeast of Robotyne, which the Ukrainian armed forces recaptured in the 2023 offensive. The enemy is trying to advance on Chasiv Yar, Surisky. Russians continue intensive offensive actions at the Kupiansk and Bakhmut directions and regroup at the Lyman direction. The enemy is also using assault units formed from former Storm Z and Storm V criminals to continue their assault operations. In addition, the enemy continues to transfer reserves from other areas. The Czech Republic handed over 26 new Dana M2 self-propelled artillery systems to Ukraine. The maximum range of its fire is 20 to 25.5 kilometers and depends on the type of ammunition. Ukraine returns more than 200 soldiers and civilians from Russian captivity. President Zelensky. This is an extremely important event for us. Prisoner exchanges have finally returned. The last exchange took place on August 7th. Since then, Russia has not agreed to return our people home. We must respond to Russia's attack in a language Putin understands, Polish foreign minister says. The Polish minister called for tougher sanctions against Russia to prevent Moscow from creating new weapons from smuggled components, and to provide Kyiv with long-range missiles that would destroy launch sites and command centers. Germany still not ready to supply Taurus missiles to Ukraine. German mass media. Government spokesman Stefan Hebestreit said that the German government's position on Taurus deliveries has not changed. We are still closely monitoring the development of the situation. The Russian army is better equipped than the Ukrainian army, the battalion commander of the 3rd Assault Brigade. This is how he answered the question of a guy who asked what kind of equipment the average Russian occupier has and how much worse it is than ours. The Russian army is no worse than the Ukrainian army, even better. It is technologically better equipped, has more vehicles, better weapons, better equipment than the Ukrainian army. What makes you think they are worse? The Russians have not only better equipment, but also state programs to equip and supply the army. Raulo added that we should not underestimate the enemy, because it is a very serious enemy. Russian occupants have somewhat reduced the number of infantry attacks. But for the second day in a row they have been actively conducting airstrikes and shelling our positions with artillery. The enemy is most active near Avdiivka and in the Mariupol sector. In total, the enemy carried out 25 airstrikes, fired 25 times and made 937 artillery attacks over the last day. Total enemy losses amounted to 386 personnel and 40 pieces of military equipment. In particular, 3 armored personnel carriers, 6 artillery systems, 14 UAVs, 9 vehicles and 5 units of special equipment. 1 ammunition depot was destroyed. 4 occupants surrendered. IAEA inspectors are not allowed to all reactors of the occupied Zaporizhzhia NPP. Over the past 2 weeks, IAEA experts have been denied access to the reactor halls of Units 1, 2, and 6. This is the first time that IAEA experts have been denied access to the reactor hall of a unit that was in cold shutdown. This is where the reactor core and spent fuel are located. In addition, although it was planned that on December 19 they would be granted access to the roof of the power units, this has not yet happened, allegedly for security reasons. These are all the main events in Ukraine on January 3. Thank you for watching our episode.